All right.
Okay. What's going on, YouTube? Jimmy House here. Welcome back to the House Strong YouTube channel. So today, what I got going on for you guys is a very special video. I'm here with my good friend Michelle. We're doing a strength seminar today. So we're partnering up with Michelle and then Charlie Brooks, who's in the gym right now. Michelle, I'm gonna pass it on to her and I have her explain what the purpose of today is. Like, what are we doing for the people?
Yeah, so today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be going over squat, bench, and deadlift, and basically just the fundamentals, proper technique, how to get strong, but also how to stay safe, how to recover. Basically, we're going to go over all the information that you need to know to either get started in strength training or elevate your strength and just get house strong.
Yeah, so basically, we charge $20 for all the people that came in person, but because I'm doing a YouTube video for this, I'll be taking your guys' money online, so make sure just to send me an email with all your cash. We'll see you guys inside. Just kidding. Peace.
Paying attention to it, so I saw when I had 1,000 and I was trying to get over
So I just sidestep and just really focus on like squeezing your hip. You're gonna feel like a bikini girl. Like just go side to side. So you just kind of not like that. It's really, so you want to push against the band on your way down, and then when you come up, you want to push as well. So never let those knees come in like that. You always want to push out against that.
All right, I'm passing it on to Irving.
How's it going?
Tyler, this is your replacement, bro.
What's up, bro? You've been replaced.
He's a lot cheaper, so.
We need to get him a sticker because you're off the team.
If you guys don't know, you have a high bar position and a low bar position. That's just indicating where the bar is placed on your back. I personally prefer a low bar position. I feel a lot more strength, especially coming from my upper back, equating to a stronger squat overall. Some people like to have the high bar position. They can do more with that. So that's all personal preference. I think with beginners, though, if you haven't done a whole lot of powerlifting in general, it's probably best to start with the high bar, get the general technique of the squat, and then work towards like a low bar if you feel more comfortable doing so. But all in all, a lot of the same concepts still apply. The biggest thing that I want to start with is basically, especially as you get into higher weights, the walkout's going to be one of your most important steps to the squat. It's going to determine, you know, how much energy you're using before you even go down into the squat. Because obviously, if you're not using a monolift where the weight comes out for you, you need to diligently plan your steps for your walkout so that you're conserving as much energy as possible. Because you will feel it, especially once you get towards, you know, 100% of your max. You don't want to be doing a lot of this stuff, a lot of extra steps that aren't necessary. That's going to equate to draining your energy that you could be using for the actual lift. So what I like to do, a lot of people like to do a 2-step walkout. Some people do a 4, some people do a 3. I like doing a 2. I start with my feet somewhat like close to where my stance is going to be. For me, I'm about like shoulder width apart before I start. I make sure I get a big breath of air in. That's going to get my core and back nice and tight. I'm going to drive through the floor, lifting my chest and head up at the same time. So I stand up straight with the bar and make sure that I stabilize the weight before I make any movement. I don't want to come up, be unbalanced, and then start taking my steps. So when it comes to squatting, really take your time. With the weight on top of your back like that, you really want to make sure that you're 100% in control of the weight. So again, fully stabilized, the weight shouldn't be wiggling at all. Once I feel like it's stabilized, then I usually take 1 step at a time back. So, and this just takes practice, but it's basically boom, boom, short little steps. I'll look down at my feet to make sure my feet are in position to where I like. For me personally, I squat slightly past shoulder width apart, with my toes slightly pointed outward. It varies on your body type, your preference. Some people like to go a lot wider, some people feel more comfortable narrow. But I think if anything, having your toes pointed outward, no matter what width of stance you choose, is going to behoove you in the sense that it's going to allow you to get your butt deeper in the hole. It's going to allow you to achieve deeper depth without having a lot of knee strain or hip strain with that. So from this position, all I'm really going to do, I'll get into some other stuff later, but I want to make sure that my chest stays up, my elbows stay as directly under the bar as possible, So one of the things I like to do while I make sure I get my core tight, so I come here with a big breath in, I press everything out in my stomach so that my core is nice and tight. Once my core is tight, I throw my elbows under the bar and pull my chest up and lock my back into position. So like that. I want to make sure everything's tight and I'm holding it to my best ability. From there, my next step is going to make sure that I break. So I'll show you guys. This is a common mistake you'll see a lot of beginners make. Breaking at the hips as opposed to breaking at the knees. So when we're squatting, a lot of times you'll see beginners do this type of stuff. When I say break at the knees or break at the hips, it's essentially which body part is going to be doing the first movement. So a lot of times you see stuff like this. Breaking at the knees, meaning the knees are traveling forward first, meaning that the rest of your body kind of follows in the same path as your knees. So that's kind of what you want to avoid, especially once you get to the higher weight. Unless there's a lot of strain on your knees, and you're not going to get a lot of muscle recruitment from like your posterior chains, so like your hamstrings and glutes. What I prefer doing is breaking at my hips and then going straight down into the hole. You don't need to squat like a gear powerlifter where you're shooting your butt back the whole time, but there does need to be somewhat of a hip break. So all it is really, I'm here, once I get my air in, I shoot my butt back just a little bit. From here, I'm just gonna go straight down, and my knees are gonna push out in the same direction as my toes to this position. My weight is pretty evenly distributed across my whole foot. My knees are pointed outward. That allows for me to keep as vertical a shin as possible, meaning that I have pretty much all my body weight distributed evenly into the ground, giving me as wide of a surface area as possible to push up. You know, you don't want to be too much on your heels or too far forward on your toes. You want to essentially try to be driving through your whole foot. So what does this kind of look like when we get started? We'll be here, again, 1, 2, settle, head up, chest up, big air, and then my knees are gonna push out, like I said, after I break at my hips. So break, push out, and then this is about good depth for any powerlifting association. From here, I'm gonna try to squeeze my butt. That's gonna give me the initial kick out of the hole, so this is purely a butt squeeze. Boom. From here, this is where my quads start kicking in, and I finish through to the top with the lockout of my knees. Get like during a set of like 10 to 12 minutes of bar to help open up everything. A lot of times I find that the first set that I do with the bar is a lot harder than the rest of them because it's kind of stiff. So do like a couple sets, like 10 or 12 minutes of the bar, let your body warm up, and then like 135 a lot easier. Because a lot of times it's hard to get in that perfect position when you're tight. Just when you loosen up a little bit, get some blood flow, it like helps, you know. Yeah.
Bar is really kind of just for, so like, even though you want that initial hit to break like this, you never want that chest to be here. So it's like break the hip.
It looks pretty good, just a little bit more like just like with your butt almost, and then go straight down. Yeah, that's a lot better. The whole idea is, once you start to kind of get more in depth with the squat, the bar path is going to be pretty essential in order to keep everything aligned. You don't want to be like coming over, obviously you don't want to be going backwards. So ideally, your weight with the bar should be kind of like right over the middle of your foot. So if you were to like take a video of yourself from the side, yeah, you should try to see like as much as you can the bar being like right over the middle right here as much as possible. Because otherwise, if it's too far over, you press too much through your toes, or too far back through the heels. So you want to try to keep the bar over the middle, over your center of gravity, so that you're using, you know, everything. Yeah, that's going to give you the most power coming out of the floor.
Am I going too far forward?
At first, when you weren't breaking enough, you're coming a little bit more forward, and you can tell too, especially if you study your feet, you can see like your shoe lift up a little bit, or vice versa. When you started shooting back with your hips, it started distributing more evenly. Yeah. The squat itself looks really good. When you get your air in, try doing just a little bit of this. Throwing your elbows in and locking your back in even tighter. So like put your elbows underneath the bar. Yeah. Pull that as much as you can.
You kind of do yourself, you got them under, and then right as we're doing the squat, you let it go back. So try and just hold it.
The idea behind doing this, locking in your upper back, is so that you're basically just getting your upper back ready to support the heavy load, so that when you come up with like 100% of your max, 95, whatever, there's none of this. And that's usually usually that can be the determinant of if people get the squat or not. You know, how they are out of the hole, if they can keep their bar path straight coming up out of the hole. About pulling down on the bar, I like to think about throwing my elbows underneath because I can feel my lats meaning that my back's engaged. Yeah, like you can feel that. Yeah, and so that's kind of what you want to feel when you're squatting. So literally, it's just and you just hold that straight as much as you can. It's not going to be perfect, but the idea is you're keeping a consistent hold. Do you mind if you back real fast? Can I make a suggestion? I could totally be wrong, but I'm wondering what's going to happen if you take your stance out like an inch. So you're about right here. If you took out like an inch and still kept your toes out pointed wider, just because you're a little bit taller, so you might get a little bit more drive if you just widen out your stance more. Nothing crazy, but you're like under shoulder width to start, or just about. If you take it just outside, I'm wondering to see how that feels. If you don't mind trying it. Yeah. Yeah, so just a little bit wider than what you're used to. Yeah, and you can even bring your toes in just slightly. Yeah. So same thing, chest up, knees go out, and then just sink your butt straight down. So just make sure you break out your hips. Good. Try, maybe bring it in like a quarter of an inch.
My toes or
your heels. Like there. Knees out and up. A little bit more reach back. Go slow coming down. Really feel yourself reaching back with your butt. Good, and up. Yeah. But like with the shorter stance with longer legs, sometimes your knees are going to be over your toes, whether you want to keep them there or not, whether you're actually trying to make sure they're doing or not. So that's why if you take it out just a little bit wider, you don't need to be super wide, but just something where you can respect your body's leverages just a little bit more. Yeah, cool. Is that feel better? That's good. Yeah.
You got him? Okay, guys. So there's a goat on the other side of the room over there. His name's Luigi Fagiani, and he deadlifts like close to 900 pounds at 242 pounds. Anyways, long story short, he said he was on my page yesterday, and he said I had good lifts. So I'm kind of fanboying kind of hard right now.
So when it comes to belts, so what I was talking about earlier, when it comes to bracing your core, obviously we're taking a big breath of air in, and then we're going to kind of send that air down into our stomach and press our stomachs out. That's going to help get all our muscle around our core nice and engaged, so we can avoid any type of spinal arcs that we don't want, and just in general keeping a good bar path. So a lot of misconceptions when it comes to like getting a big breath of air in before you squat or before you deadlift or whatever, it's not the breath itself that engages your core, it's what you do with the breath that helps get your core engaged and puts you in the right position. So when I get my air and I take a big breath of air in, it's not just me going, because that's not really doing much. It's me taking a big breath of air in and sitting it down in my stomach and bracing in this general area where the belt would be. So, and pressing outward like this, making sure all of this area is nice and contracted, just like we want our back nice and contracted, because that's what's helped just really keep everything tight and keep our bar path nice and straight. So even if you're not using the belt and you're squatting, still doing something like this, like that, is going to help keep your core nice and stable when you're squatting, even without a belt. When you throw in a belt, it kind of just puts icing on the cake, really. So I'm throwing my belt, and I'm squatting, and I'm here. When I get that big breath of air in, I need to feel myself pressing out against the belt. If I just take a big breath of air in and just, I'm not doing a whole lot. The belt is essentially pointless. Here, pressing out, and you can see my stomach, go over it because I'm pressing out hard against it. So, then hold that tight. It's an uncomfortable feeling, but you'll learn to be comfortable being uncomfortable with powerlifting. And so, before I squat, I need to make sure that I feel that position, that feeling of being uncomfortable, and then go down in the hole. That's how I know my upper body is as tight as possible before I actually descend, equating to the pressure buildup that I need to explode out the hole coming out the bottom. Okay?
You need to be super tight. It's more of a comfortable position to where you can brace against it, push against it, and not just cinch this thing down as tight as we can, because then you can't expand. So make sure it's really comfortable for you.
Right. Cool, guys. Let's give it a shot. The problem is it's going to be better to have that, like where you were at. I got that. Nice.
What was that, Jimmy? Hey.
Watch out.
You got any dance moves, Michelle?
No.
We do to open up our shoulder and our chest, and then we'll get started on bench. So come on over here, I'll show you the bands. The first things that we want to try to do is try to open up our shoulder so we have some good range. A lot of times we get stiff from sleeping on our shoulder, whatever it may be, from training. But opening up our lat, Michelle's going to open up here. What we'd like to do is try to load up this arm, and we're trying to open up this lat. I know you see a lot of guys just grab something and stretch here, but with the band, we're getting a little bit of distraction, so we get a little bit better range, and it opens it up a little bit better. So what we do is we run through, we try to open up both lats, and now we're going to switch around, open up the chest.
And the big one with this one, we see a lot of people, they come here. Never have that shoulder rolled forward, open it up.
And then after we get the lat open, we come over here, and we're going to load up this pec. This is a good place to do it because it keeps that band low. So we're just going to get it right in here in the shoulder, and we're just going to get a little tension on it, and you're going to feel your shoulder want to come back. And once we get in here, we're just going to do some across the chest. So basically we're taking the upper arm and just coming across the chest, and we'll feel that shoulder moving. You'll probably feel a little bit of pump in the pec as well. And we get like 10, 12 in here. And then we get loaded back up on it. And then we're going to protract and retract. Protract, retract. And same thing, 10 to 12 here. Do that, we'll come down here. We'll set this thing on the bicep right above the elbow there. Same thing, we're going to load it up just a little bit, put your hand behind your back, and just get like a chicken wing. So what we're trying to do is just get this external rotation and just open it up. And we just kind of hang here for about 10, 15 seconds.
Do you feel it in your pec?
Yeah.
Good. Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people are a lot tighter in their pec than they realize. Like, a lot of people complain of like shoulder problems, and they think they have like torn rotator cuffs and this and that, and you're like, no, you just have a tight pec and it's causing your shoulder to do that.
Run through bench. We're not going to do competition bench. I'm just going to show you guys some important aspects of benching. A lot of guys hurt their pecs or shoulders from benching. That's typically why you see guys that don't bench. So I'm going to show you some important tips to remember when you're benching. So the idea is we're trying to build chest, basically, when we're benching. So, but we want to do it the safest way possible. The most important thing we do is make sure our shoulder never leaves the bench. A lot of times you'll see guys that lift their shoulders up and they get flat. They do a lot of crap like this. So they bench and then their shoulder. Whoop. One of the important things is the retraction, like we were doing in the bands, the protraction, retraction. So when we set up, what we want to do is retract the shoulders as tight as we can, okay? So as we lay down and get set, we're going to squeeze our scapula together and retract the shoulders. So now my rear deltoid is sitting on the bench, and I can barely put my head on the damn bench. So now, when we have the weight in our hands, it goes from our wrist to our forearms, into our bicep, into our lat. And then we just reverse the process. And there's no movement with the shoulder. So the idea is to try to squeeze your scapula as tight as you can and stay right there, don't move. Sometimes you get a little sloppy and the shoulders will start like scrunching up on you or moving. We're going to try and stay as tight as possible so there is no movement in that shoulder. Now she's going to set up in her arch. This is more like a competition type style of bench, but the important thing is I want to show you guys on a normal sized person what shoulders look like when we're benching. So as you can see, she's got the weight in her wrist and her shoulders are on the bench. That's the most important thing. So now when she brings it down, the weight comes down, she's on her lats, now she's gonna come back up, and the shoulder never moves. So now do one where the shoulder shoots up. And now she just got loose, and I don't know if you guys saw how her shoulder shot up. Her shoulder came off the bench, and now she doesn't have any retraction in her scapula, and she's loose. And that's like one of the worst things we can do. That's when we start tearing pecs and hurting our shoulders.
I still grab here just to get everything tight, but you still want to, even if you're not arching, you still want to think you go from here. You still want that chest up. So think you're here, retract, get those shoulders back, and you're still here. So it's still the same, my arch isn't as high.
So the idea is we want to try and keep that weight in our hand with a straight wrist. We start bending our wrist, sometimes you go false grip or that wrist starts to come back. Now you're putting all that tension on your wrist. We want to try and keep that weight so it transfers right through your forearm, into your bicep, down into your tricep, into your lat, and keep everything vertical instead of putting additional pressure somewhere else. Pretty good?
Yeah. What about the bar path? Can you be straight up and down?
That's where you're at. That's good. Yeah. I mean, it's
because of hers, it kind of looks like it went.
Well, that's because her arch is so high.
Right.
Yeah. She's gonna try and bring her elbows down and stay on the lat, and there's gonna be a little bit of arch.
When I pull my shoulders back a lot, it kind of almost feels like I'm in like a decline bench. So I'm pushing that
away
way.
from you.
Yeah.
Which is okay. I mean, that's the idea. The competition feels more like a decline than it is a regular bench, and that's where we're strongest because we're putting everything on the lat. Creating this anterior rotation of the shoulder, and this is what happens when we don't open up that chest. It becomes very anterior rotated. So when we're trying to bench, this shoulder is rotated forward horribly. So we need to try and get this chest open so he's able to get the shoulders back so it's on the bench. So this is what we're trying to avoid.
Nice.
There you go.
Giorgio, the GOAT. I don't know how to say your last name, bro. I'm sorry.
Guidanella or something like that?
Guidanella.
Giorgio, how do you say your last name?
Jordanella.
Oh, I said Guidanella, that's all.
Guidonella would be actually pretty fitting.
Yeah.
Bouncer. Right? I thought I was going to be a rib crack. Guys that don't know Luigi over here, he's pulled a little bit of weight in his life.
Yeah, he's a lot stronger than all of us combined, but for some reason I'm the one teaching. So I personally like going without shoes, or if you have flat sole shoes like Vans or Converse or wrestling shoes, it's all the same. For me, when it comes to conventional, it's all gonna depend on your body's leverages. Me personally, at like 5'9", 215, my stance, I like to tuck my heels like right under my butt cheeks, so it's a little bit more narrow than shoulder width apart. I like that position more than being wider or being too narrow. When I approach the bar, you might have heard this before, but I try to kind of cut my feet in half of the bar so that when I go down to grab it and I sink myself in position, I can maintain vertical shins and keep a nice upright chest with my shoulders being aligned with the bar. So for example, if you guys are recording yourselves trying to critique your form, a good thing that you can do is record yourself from the side, especially if you're trying to learn the basics. Basics things that you want to look for, like I said, so if I'm from the side right here and you guys are looking, my shins are relatively vertical. They don't need to be too up vertical. Some forward travel with the knees just means that you're going to get a little bit more quad drive off the floor, but relatively vertical. After that, I want to make sure that my shoulders are aligned with more so the front of the bar, not too far over, that's going to throw me off, not too far back, that's going to throw me off. Unless you're like a 6'7", 400-pound strongman, for the most part, you don't want to sink too far down into the lift right here. I try not to do that just because, respectively, with the deadlift, obviously the weight's in front of you. So if you sink your hips down too low,
all it's really gonna do is gonna pull you up into position where your body feels its strongest, and then you're gonna lift the weight. So I think the key to saving energy and finding your sweet spot is to play around with it. But usually, sometimes when we first start deadlifting and we get down to position and we notice we're going heavy, our body picks us up to a position and then we start pulling. Wherever, if you ever see that happen to your guys, with your guys' deadlift, kind of take note of where your body pulls you to, because a lot of times that's like where your body naturally kind of wants to be, and usually your strongest position. So for me, I don't really get down too low in my deadlift. I'm more of a puller than a pusher when it comes to deadlifting. So my hips are kind of pretty high respectively to everything else, and I pull more through my glutes and hamstrings than I actually do driving with my quads. But some people like to get a little bit lower and get a little bit more quad drive. It's all really up to the person. So with all that said, the next thing that I'm going to really talk about is grip placement. You don't want to be too wide, you don't want to be too narrow, but being close to your body in general is just going to allow for a little bit more upper back improvement, or upper back strength. If you think about it, if I'm on like a machine over there and I'm doing rows, I should be able to row more close grip than I do wide grip. So with the deadlift, if I'm going to get my upper back involved, I want to have a relatively close grip, nothing too wide, because I'm going to start to lose upper strength in my back. So I try to go pretty much wherever I'm standing. If I stand normal like this, I go straight down like that. Whether you do double over, hook grip, or over under, it's all the same. From here, I just bend straight over, like with my legs pretty straight up. And then from here, once I have my grip, I'm gonna use the bar to pull my hips down in the position I feel most comfortable in. So from here, I'm pulling the slack out, pulling onto the bar, and then using that to bring my hips down. And then when I feel like I'm in a perfect position to pull, which is for me, I feel good about right here, then I'm gonna immediately drive through my ass, squeeze the bar, and I like to tuck my elbows into my side. What that's doing is getting my lats contracted. So similarly with the squat, where we float our elbows underneath the bar, this is how I get my back engaged with the deadlift. So once I'm in position right here, I squeeze my elbows in and tuck them in like this. This is a technique I learned from like Pete Rubish. He talks about this when he deadlifts. He does this, and all it's really doing, it retracts your shoulders and it tucks your lats into your pockets, creating for more of a straight back and a little bit more upper back recruitment with it. So it's gonna look something like this. So for me, I'm here, I get my big breath of air up here, I pull on the bar to get the slack out, and drop to the floor. If you can, at least for this, it's gonna be best if you go thumb over. And then also when you're down there, the bar was about like an inch away from your shins. Try to keep contact with it the whole time. So when you sink down, you should physically feel your shins make contact with the bar. Good. And then bring it down one more time. So like I said, contact with your shins before you lift this one. Tuck your elbows in and pull your shoulders back and kind of sink your butt down maybe an inch. And then squeeze your butt to the top. Yeah. And similarly with the squats, the more and more you can train yourself to get that butt kicking, the more smooth and faster it's going to be. Yeah. Just a little bit more. Like when you sink down. So like as you sink, tuck as well. The great thing about sumo is you don't need any type of back extension to finish this lift. If you do it correctly, it should all be straight up and down. I pull on the bar to get the slack out, and as I do that, I'm tucking my elbows in and I sink my butt into position. But it's important that I push my knees completely out towards my toes, and my weight distribution actually goes more on the outside of my foot, because if it doesn't, my knees will shift forward and I'll start to push the bar forward. So sometimes when you see people do sumo in the beginning, you'll see a lot of people do stuff like this. Yeah. My weight transfers on the inside of my foot and it starts pushing the bar forward, meaning that I have to do a lot more. This will just make the move a lot harder in general. It's going to make the bar path all kinds of messed up. So when I sink down, my weight transfers more so on the outside of my feet so that my shins stay as vertical as possible and my knees point out like that. Like that. As soon as you see your chest up, it's a big butt squeeze from the bottom to the top. Conventional, I mean, even if you're doing it in perfect form, I still have to extend with my back to some extent. With sumo, if you get yourself in the right position from the get-go, There is no back extension needed. You're already tight in the position you're gonna lock out in. Good. And then just like with your Olympic lift, tight, brace your core. Squeeze your butt hard. Nice.
So you're gonna lift it or what?
It's awesome.
Thanks, bro.
Fucking awesome.
Okay, chest up, Johnny. Chest up, up. You got it.
Damn.
Lightheaded as shit.
And your eyes are like bloodshot.
That might not be all deadlift.
Oh, okay. We're gonna have to censor that.
We can't put that in the video. Okay guys, so that's going to conclude today's video. Thank you very much for tuning in. I appreciate you guys coming with us and checking out all the information that we had to give to everyone that came today. I'm going to pass it on to Michelle and Charlie so they can recap basically everything that we did today, and maybe so you guys can be interested in coming to one of our clinics in the future. So without further ado, you guys can talk.
Yeah, so once again, kind of like we talked about earlier and you guys seen in the video, we just went over proper technique in all three of the major lifts, bench, squat, and deadlift, and like proper warm-ups and stuff like that, and basically just teaching everyone how to get stronger and do it right.
Yeah, we had an awesome day. We had a good turnout. We worked on a little bit of mobility work. We did some different protocols for warming up for like the bench and squat, different things that we do. Again, it was a really good turnout, and we look forward to seeing you guys again. Thank you.
Awesome. If any of you guys are interested, we're at the Fitness One off of 35th Avenue in Union Hills. It's a great facility. Bodybuilding, powerlifting, general fitness, they got it all. If you guys are interested in any type of personal training, Michelle can help you out in the department. And if you guys are interested in any type of muscle recovery type training, joint recovery, that's Charlie's department, and he'd be happy to help you guys out. So I'll put some of their information down in the information box below. But until next time, guys, that's going to conclude today's video. We'll see you in the next one. Peace out.
Yeah.
Okay guys, so I realized what I should have done is get some testimonies from the different people who came to see how they liked it, but we have one straggler here that I can ask him what he thought of today's seminar. So first of all, who are you, what do you do, and are you good at anything? If so, name what these things are.
My name is Giorgio, also known as Don's Folio on Instagram.
Instagram right here.
I dabbled in a little bit of everything. I used to be a Division I sprinter in the 100 and 200. I pushed bobsleds with USA Bobsled.
You were alternate on the Olympics, correct?
That's correct, back in 2014.
Okay.
Yep. And then you had the Olympic weightlifting that I got into, qualified at nationals, placed in the top 10. Had a little stint as a professional sprinter, ran in the low 10s, and had some good success in bodybuilding as well.
Yep, Mr. Physique 2013.
I won Miss Arizona Physique in 2013 and then placed 5th at USA's in Classic Physique in 2016.
All right, so with that being said and 2% battery left, what did you think of today, my friend?
It was a good time today. I actually learned something that I had previously not known. I learned how to sumo deadlift today. Actually tied my conventional deadlift at 500 pounds.
Nice.
So, found a new way to train, something that I can practice and develop a little bit further by attending the seminar.
Awesome. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. See you guys.
Cool. All right, guys. So, as you guys just saw, the seminar was worth it. People learned some good stuff. Again, if you're interested in coming to these, stay tuned to the How Strong channel. I'll be posting updates on all of this stuff. Nonetheless, like I said, thank you guys for tuning in. We'll cut to the next clip.